A show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on GTV. This show is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Ramney Tertola Pier Park, NV Salon, Nail Spa and Barbershop, Tisley Cross Deliciously Smooth Cider, and Digicel, simply more speed, reliability and entertainment.
Tisley Cross Cider. Tisley Cross Cider. Deliciously smooth.
This is The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards. I want to thank you so much for joining us for this edition. We're at that time of year when we are to be paying attention to the season. With me is Mr. Jason Penn, the head of the Department of Disaster Management. We are in that time. I want to welcome you to keep us reminded. How are you today?
I'm great, Cassie. Thank you for having me here
So-
today, this morning.
Yeah, so much has been going on around us, and sometimes we need to just jog our memory as to what period we're in. We are in a hurricane season, it's upon us, and we have not been hearing of anything so appalling at this time. But there is the need for us to stay alert and be reminded that hurricanes are things that we just can't just throw over our shoulder because of our experience, especially in 2017. How is the season looking?
Yes, Cassie, people would have noticed that the systems have slowed down. We haven't really heard much about any developing storms or hurricanes, at least for the last 45 days. That's starting from today. 45 days is the last time that we've had a real storm developing. But that does not mean that all is well at this point. One of the factors that the forecasters have indicated to us is the amount of Saharan dust that we've been experiencing. It's just one of the factors that have kind of diminished the strengthening of the particular systems. There are tropical waves that are constantly moving off of the west coast of Africa. They're traversing, but I think the issue with the dust has sort of weakened their ability to develop. But I should also mention that we're moving into the peak point of the season, which is usually around September 10th. So as you know, we're still in that period where at any time now you could just begin to see these systems starting to show the possibility of strengthening or even developing into storms and hurricanes again.
Mm-hmm.
So we shouldn't
Be too complacent.
no, we shouldn't. We should still be in mind that they still have some ways to go, and these systems can be coming through at any point.
Explain to us the dynamics of the Sahara dust and its effect on storms. And some of us who are not so deep into the geography studies may not understand how it plays out.
Well, typically where the dust comes from, usually around this time of year, there's like dust storms over in the Saharan desert, and that dust tends to blow from east to west, traversing the Atlantic over in this area. We all know, we continue to hear about the issues of climate change, and for this reason we've been seeing a lot of these particular dust storms traversing the Atlantic, and that has been one of the factors that have hindered the development of these waves that continue to traverse, in addition to other factors such as La Nina, and also some of the wind shear that we've been experiencing that typically break up the systems as they get closer to our region.
Okay, and the thing that we often hear persons say, I say it myself, the place is so hot, something out there. What does that have to do with the weather pattern? The system, the sun being unusually hot in our guesstimation and assessment, and the waters being still at most times, and then suddenly we use them earlier.
Yeah, well, when these sea surface temperatures get warm to a certain degree, it tends to create a type of evaporation over the ocean floor, over ocean from the top of the ocean. That in combination with the winds and other factors is what creates that Coriolis effect when the wave starts to come across. So typically when you have warmer and much warmer and hotter water and hot conditions and that moisture, it tends to sort of add like a sense of igniting the storms and the hurricanes. So as you can see, conditions have changed slightly again, boiling back to climate change as they have indicated. You would have noticed that even our rain patterns, we've pretty much been in a drought for the last few months. We hadn't had that much rain. We've had very extremely high temperatures. We've seen some of our regional partners and friends in their countries where they've shown you pictures of particular reservoirs that they've had that went dry as much as far as from 2021, and they haven't even caught themselves back. We are seeing the conditions that are happening over in Europe, where certain countries are going through extreme heat, extreme dry spells, where their rivers and their particular reservoirs are seeing lows that they haven't seen in some in 50, some in 500 years. So the conditions you can certainly see are changing, not just there, but in our neck of the woods as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So how are we readying ourselves as a territory? I know we've spoken to us as individual domestic persons. You put up your make sure that your barricades are in place, that your shutters are serviced, and you strengthen, you trim trees, and right, all of that. But how are we as a territory preparing shelters and otherwise?
Well, we went through the whole process of evaluating the shelters, I would say. The list has been published. Persons can find that listing on our website of the shelters that they can use in the event they need to evacuate. But I think just to allude from the shelters a little bit, Cassie, when you look at it from in terms of preparation from the business aspect and from the civilian aspect, I'll speak about the business aspect first. And I think one of the things that businesses would need to concentrate on at this point is preparation in terms of continuity and how they perceive to see their business continue to progress maybe after a hurricane. Like we've known what Hurricane Irma did to the entire territory, where many businesses were affected. So I would believe that businesses should concentrate in terms of preparation. How would their business function in the event something of that catastrophic nature were to affect them? Do they have adequate insurance? Do they have do they have any type of savings that is put aside? Do they understand or have the mechanisms that would allow their business to recover quickly? There are plans that the employees actually know about, what the employees could do, where the employees can get certain type of relief. The employees, do they have, is there a method that the employees can contact the businesses after initial event? Do the employees know where they need to go? Can you survive after your business has been damaged? In how long? These are things that businesses would need to be pretty much thinking on. Yes, they will need to be thinking on these things, and not just in a matter of just closing up their business and telling the employees, okay, now it's time for us to leave and we'll see you, we wait till the system pass after. There has to be a plan of how you perceive, how you see your business continuing in the event if you were to be struck by such a major catastrophic event again. Now, when you look at it from terms of the civilian or the home front, again, insurance would also come into play. of actually seeing what your coverage is. Remember, even from Oma, there are a lot of persons, when they actually went to do their claims, they realized that the insurance was saying that your property or whatever, it was your insurance is undervalued. So now these are things that would be critical for you to check at this point. You did mention the cutting of the trees and the shelters and the shutters and having all those different contingency measures. That is also good. Next thing that would be important too, even for some homeowners, are those that have maybe rental properties, to ensure that their tenants actually understand that, hey, my property, yes, may be insured to cover my building, but it's not covering the contents of yours that's within my actual establishment. So those tenants themselves, they may be where they can be encouraged to seek out and see if there's some type of renter's insurance that would cover their belongings in the event something like that were to happen. I guess some of these conversations would need to be had.
Yeah, that's an eye-opener, that particular area, because I was thinking about that. If persons have their own properties, their belongings, but they live in a rental facility, how can you be insured? I've not heard any insurance company talk about that particular aspect of it in many years. So that's an area that really needs to be looked at. Because a lot of people lost.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we did too earlier this year as well, Cassie, is we did a forum with a number of different insurance companies. I believe if persons were to visit the government's GIS information page, that particular forum was taped, captured quite a bit of information in there in terms of insurance. So persons can visit and they could check that particular taping out. I think it's still there on Facebook.
Maybe time to pull it up back and as a refresher, pull it up to the fore and put it out there. But has the department itself been doing capacity building with the private sector, with private individuals? Have you been out there doing educational sessions and stuff?
Yes, I mean we've partnered with the Hotel and Commerce Association. They did a pretty good job in developing a business continuity template. I'll encourage persons to reach out to them. They could share that template with them, show them how to build a plan, what it would need to be included, what certain measures that they can take to safeguard their business. I think even the small businesses that we think that may not need particular plans, like even the vendors, the food trucks, the mobile car washes, they too can reach out to BVI HCCHA and they would help to develop a plan for them that might be suitable in that regard. We also did some work with Money Matters, where they developed a nice financial planner for those who are looking to plan in terms of hurricanes from the financial aspect. They could also reach out to them as well. They had a nice planner that they've developed, and we continue to work along with our various partners, Rotary, the Lions, Red Cross, who's always very instrumental in partnering with us. Those are some of the avenues that we've been reaching out to try and get information out there. When we had the agricultural fair, we were also there. We had a setup that was there, and we were giving out information. We also had another setup, another launch when Red Cross had the expo earlier this year. We was a part of that as well. And we continue to try and push tidbits of information through the different sources and the different mediums that we have. And persons can also call us or contact us at the building if they need further information, or if they have a plan that they might want us to review, just to look at and maybe give some pointers on that. They can contact us as well.
How are you working with the communication entities?
I'm glad that you mentioned that. A lot of work has been done since the last time from the communications aspect, through the TRC, through the service providers. We do have a number of MOUs with them where they allow us to use their texting platforms to send emergency messages to various persons within the community. A number of the service providers have allowed us to install or attach particular early warning equipment and different systems on their premises free of charge, as a partnership and as their way of giving back to the community. the other agreements that have been developed with the service providers as well is where in the event of certain hazards or emergencies to open up their network so people can communicate across platform to make it easier. From the aspect from within our department, what we have done is, well, let me backtrack. Let me speak in terms of from the aspect of from government. Government has done a lot of work in terms of their communications infrastructure. They've moved quite a bit of the services that can be accessed via the cloud. In the event things were to happen again, a lot of the services can continue to be active. There were different methods of satellite phones, VHF radio communications. As you did know, we lost access to quite a bit of FM and AM broadcast stations during that time. We do have a number of different backup transmitters that were purchased this time around, in addition to a emergency frequency that should be launched shortly in the event to provide information to the public. And the service providers, as you could see, a number of them still have continued to build out the infrastructure. Some have gone as far as put key infrastructure on the ground. If persons would have noticed around the territory, they would have seen bits and pieces of works of different companies. So a lot of there has been a lot of progress in that time, and the work is still ongoing, and the guys are trying to expedite and improve as much as they can.
Awesome. It looks like you guys get it market to your building before the season ends.
Well, the building is still ongoing. A lot of work has been done. Since the start of the building in 2021, there was some slight hiccups in terms of, with COVID, delay in certain supplies and expertise. Yeah. But one of the things that the team has tried to done, they're running multiple shifts. They're on the actual site maybe from Monday to Saturday. They're pushing as much as they can. And maybe hopefully later down in the year, or even now, if persons look up in the hillside, they would see some semblance of a structure coming up out of the ground. Yeah. There are aspects that have already been completed, not been completed, that persons cannot see from the roadway, but they're trying to make as much progress as they can, and hopefully soon we'll be able to get into a new
remembering after Armand, remembering the experiences of Ms. Dabrio and the team and yourself that in that time, and seeing what you had to, the makeshift system that you had to adapt to in the hospital in order to be able to monitor and carry out certain duties. It's really important that you guys have a building, because that should be the headquarters. If anything should go wrong, that should be, if no other building apart from hospitals, police stations and others, that's one building that needs to be up.
Yes, and they certainly are trying the best to ensure that we have a much more resilient National Emergency Operations Center, which not just houses us, but that's where the executive part of the whole operation and the other entities would come, and everything will be coordinated from that particular area.
Yeah, make sure you have a center for the media.
Of course.
It's really a pleasure to have you on set, to juggle our minds back to what we really should be focusing on, among the other things that we have to deal with in our daily lives as we go from day to day. Disaster season is something that we cannot run from. It's what we have to deal with. It's a part of the circle of life, and we're in that zone. So anything that you want to say directly to our audience at this time as we say goodbye?
Yes, I would just like to tell the audience that do not become complacent. You should make every effort to prepare, even though that we are going through a quiet time in this period. Also, to persons who can assist or volunteer or provide some type of assistance to our most vulnerable populations, support entities like the Rotary, Lions Club, the Family Support Network, Safe Haven, or even Red Cross. Donate what you can give, as that would be able to help the less fortunate who cannot prepare the way that some of us would like to. You can also contact us at 468-4200. That's the number for the department. or you can email us at bviddm@surfbvi.com. That's bviddm@surfbvi.com, and make any requests, or you can voice your concerns as well. We're always open, and we're willing to take suggestions of how we can improve and make persons better prepared. That would be it for me.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for taking time out to do this. It's so necessary. And I want to thank you for taking time to pay keen attention to this very special edition of The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards.